beautiful people. Today we are doing thinning. Going to be thinning some of these little baby seedlings. Um, and just to give a little bit of background on what thinning is a technique in propagation where you are lowering the density of the plant population in a tray by cutting out excess seedlings. So what does that mean? So in each of these cells are two seedlings. When they were sown, we sowed two seeds. So that we call that oversowing. And the reason we do that is to ensure that we get a full germination. So when farming, we're trying to ensure and create environments, and we're using techniques that are going to ensure a certain yield that we're aiming for. And one of the ways we do that is by oversowing. Now, one thing to keep in mind about oversowing is that you can look at your seed packet, and your seed packet on it will say, usually like right below, your seed packet should have a lot of information. And one of the information tablet information lines that should say is the germination rate. So germination rates can range from like 77%, which is really bad, to like 99 or 98. I typically think a germination range between 89 and 97, 99 are pretty good. It's rare to see 100% germination rate, but if you're in a top range of like 88, 89 through 96, you're usually going to get a good germination. So regardless of like an 89 to 96% germination rate, we still oversow just in case, because we've definitely had seed packets from certain companies, because there's all kinds of factors that go into a seed germinating, and the seed didn't germinate. So we usually typically put in 2 seeds per cell. If we don't have a lot of that seed was really expensive, yeah, we're only going to put 1 seed. It's helpful if the germination rate is high when that happens, when we have to only put 1 seed per cell. But typically when we're sowing, we're putting 2 seeds. Now, if you have a germination rate that is like 88 or below, like a 77, or something like that, but it's something that you really want to sow, then I would say sow like a third, like 3 seeds. It's a lot, but it kind of ensures that you're probably going to get something come up. So giving all that background as to like why we're thinning out seeds now. So each cell is like a little baby nursery. So each cell has a limited number of nutrients. So if you have 2 seedlings in there, that means you're feeding 2 seedlings. So then what we're trying to do is create the conditions that all the nutrients that are in that cell are going to go to 1 seedling rather than 2, so that 1 seedling is going to get really strong and very resilient and have everything it needs, rather than having to share all of those resources and and nutrients that are in the propagation soil mix. So that's why we're thinning them out. Now, if you're like me and your little heart breaks at having to choose between 2 little seedlings that have worked really hard to come into this world, alternatively, you can just sow 1 seed per cell, or you can prick the seedling out, which at this stage, because a lot of these don't have true leaves yet, if you want to do a pricking out method where you move a seedling from the cell to a new pot, like a 4-inch pot or a 3-inch pot, where it will spend the remainder of its time before being transplanted, you can definitely do that. But for me, I want to give these seedlings in this tray kind of an early supercharge. A lot of them are developing showing some small true leaves, but I want to kind of invigorate them a little more so that they have more space and they're not getting as leggy. Because I think aside from them just being very excited little seeds, these are a little leggy, meaning they're a little bit too tall for the leaf canopy that they have. So I'm looking at kind of the proportion of the leaves stem to the plant stem to the leaves. So if the leaves are still kind of small, but the plant is really, really tall, we call that legginess. So another method to avoid the legginess, and which can cause like seedlings like this one to kind of fall over, I think thinning out the tray helps because then it can get more nutrients to strengthen its stem up. And also you can kind of like fan them to make their like stems get kind of used to the environment that they'll be out in soon. So yeah, that's kind of the reasoning behind thinning. We want to concentrate the nutrients to one seedling rather than 2 or 3 seedlings because, you know, most of these are just 2. Sometimes people sow, like they spill a couple of seeds in the cell. That's okay. That's why we're here. So then next, I'm going to get to some of the materials you're going to use doing this. And it's not materials, like tools you're going to use for thinning out your cell. I'm going to want, first of all, since we're not pricking out, we're not going to be pricking them out. We're going to be cutting out the excess one. We're going to get a bowl. It's going to be our little, because these are collards and kales. So I don't have compost in here right now. And yeah, so I'm just going to eat them. I know that sounds weird. It's so very strange to me. But the clippings I'm going to put in here in this bowl, typically on the farm, we would just put them in the compost or something. But you can also just eat them because it's basically microgreens, and like chefs pay hundreds of dollars for these little coddle-eating babies. So for breakfast today, I will have a very high-end seedling salad, which sounds so terrible because they're little babies. The other tool you're going to need are some really sharp scissors. So these are, I'm trying to do like the beauty guru method. These are bee cutter scissors, and you can also get like regular farm scissors that are meant for cutting herbs and things like that. But I didn't have those. But these are really good. They're very, very sharp. And I have about 6 different scissors in my house. Each serve a different purpose. These are exclusively used for paper, very certain types of paper. So I rarely ever use these. So that's what I'm going to use for the seedlings because they're very clean and they're very sharp. So we're not going to be damaging anything while we're doing it. And then the other thing that I'm going to have is some rubbing alcohol to clean my scissors. Just, you know, these are indoors right now, so they're not really exposed to a lot of the typical diseases or pests. So I'm not super concerned about disease happening aside from like the humidity that's in my apartment. But just to be safe, I'm going to clean the scissors with some alcohol and a little alcohol and a little swab from my beauty kit. So I'm just going to use that to clean these, and then we'll get right to thinning. So my scissors are clean. They're ready to go. You're not going to be doing this. That's not what we're doing. But so when we are pricking out, and we're picking, for me, I'm picking the strongest looking ones and the ones that have some true leaves coming in. So what that means is that I'm looking for seedlings that are standing up straight or standing up with like looking very sturdy. I'm probably going to clip ones that are leaning over. So right here in this one cell, this is one cell, and it has 2 seedlings. So the seedling that I'm going to thin is this one right here. This guy who's right next to this guy. So I'm just gonna clip it from the bottom like that, and then just put it in my bowl like that. And I'm just gonna go around to other cells. So I'm like looking at this one. Here's another cell. And I'm gonna take the taller one because this one that's next to it is kind of bent. And it's also a little shorter. So I'm just gonna take it and put it over there. And I'm just gonna keep going through the tray, and at the bottom of the stems, just taking little excess ones. So this one looks pretty strong. So I'm gonna take it. And you just wanna be really careful that you don't accidentally cut the other seedling while you're doing this. And this is a task where you can really take your time. You don't have to rush it. You want to make sure you're doing things with a lot of care and not damaging your little plants. Give a little aerial look. So this is kind of what it looks like. And they're thinned. This is what it looked like at first. So on this side, these haven't been thinned. So you'll see ones where there's like two seedlings per cell in there, and then we're just gonna want to like clip those out. So like this one, just gonna clip it and put that in our bowl. So when you're done, you'll have a little bowl of clippings. I very overestimated how many clippings I would get. I thought I was getting a gourmet salad, but looks like I'm getting a gourmet appetizer. So this will be the conclusion of today's video on thinning. And I'll see you in the next propagation video. And I'm going to go make some eggs because these clippings will not satiate my hunger. So yeah, happy farming, y'all.